Out of the blue, my wife the other day mentions, hey, did you hear that Apple launched a new, cheaper laptop? Mind blown, brand new MacBook for this price with real color options. This is exciting. Let's talk about why this MacBook really is the ideal laptop for writers. First off, it's affordable. The base model starts at $599. Now, if you qualify for the education discounts, it knocks an extra $100 off of that MacBook, bringing it down to $499. So in my opinion, this is the best value that has ever been. Now, next up, portability. Another big one. It's lightweight, easy to carry, making it ideal for writing on the go. For those who don't want to lug around the heavier laptops like a MacBook Pro, the MacBook Neo, to fit into the Apple ecosystem, to work with all my other Apple devices, I wouldn't have to do a lot of extra setup. I just set up my MacBook as I normally set it up and get to work. Performance does not concern me. Even though it's only got the A18 Pro chip, I'm confident that it'll be more than powerful enough to handle most writing workflows, unless you're doing some really graphically heavy stuff, which really kind of puts you more in the content creator realm. With MacBook Neo, we're getting a really strong battery life. Bear in mind, this has a significantly smaller battery. And so, of course, what they promise and what we actually get always seems to be less. But I've noticed with Apple Silicon, ever since it came out years ago now, from the M1 chip onward, considerable improvement in battery life overall. When we got the M1 MacBook Air, I was blown away with how well the battery kept. It would just go and go. It didn't hardly ever need to be charged. And then we'd plug it in, it'd charge really fast, and you'd be on your way again. Let's talk about colors and design. So I believe it's really important that when you commit to something serious, and it doesn't matter what you're doing, if you're a photographer, you should get a really nice camera that makes you feel like a serious photographer. Likewise, if you're a writer, you should get a computer or a device that makes you feel like a real writer. To be honest, you could buy some cheap Windows PC, which a lot of people do, but the elegance and design that goes into Apple products, and I have Scrivener on it, I feel more like a professional writer. And so the fact that we can now do that at a more affordable price is amazing. Okay, guys, let's talk about the cons to the MacBook Neo. First and foremost, there's no backlit keyboard. So that's a common complaint I've seen all over the internet, especially for those who like to write in low light conditions. I'll be honest, not a deal breaker for me. I find my backlit keyboard mostly overrated. I'm rarely ever looking at it, and I'm also not writing in the dark all that often, usually during the daytime. Next thing we're looking at is limited RAM and storage. Now, this one is kind of a big one for me because I always felt that the storage on my computer is too little. Now, bear in mind, I'm doing a lot more than just writing on my MacBook Pro. It has 1 terabyte of space on it. I honestly wish I had gotten 2 terabytes. And so 256 gigabytes. I haven't had storage that small since my old PC I had back in high school, believe it or not. That was big back in the day. Yeah, that does seem a bit small to me, but text typically doesn't take up too much space. Once again, more is probably better, but that's starting at 256 for just text only. If I really scale back a little bit, doesn't sound too bad. For most things that writers do, 8 gigabytes memory should be more than enough. And we also have to consider that it's also unified memory. It's built into the logic board. So you're unable to upgrade that because it's all built in. But because it's unified, it does tend to work better in my experience. Ever since we switched over to Apple Silicon, that unified experience seems to provide a better laptop overall, even though we don't have that upgradability and interchangeability that used to come in a lot of the older MacBooks, PCs, and things that we see today. Probably the biggest one, this is probably the most important one to me, is that there's no haptic trackpad. I've had those for several generations now, and I love them. I think they're great. So to step back into the mechanical trackpad, that one does concern me a little bit. That's probably the biggest downgrade for me. That being said, I haven't used it, so I can't really say if I were to buy a MacBook Neo, that would be the thing I'd be most concerned about. Next option up is limited ports. Connectivity isn't going to be as great with MacBook Neo in terms of physical connections, so that's something to consider. Also bear in mind, a big thing for me with these devices, I often would connect my laptop to multiple displays. I have a 3D monitor set up here in the office. And so let's say my Mac Studio died and I wanted to hook up my MacBook to it. So as it stands right now, my MacBook Pro can handle 3 or more displays without any issue at all. That's one thing I love about it. It really is a powerful workhorse. It can just about anything I throw at it, it can handle. MacBook Air 13 inches. This is something that when we first bought it, my wife and I were a little disappointed. The M1 chip could only support one display. which was really a bummer. I'm like, you can only support one display. At the time, Apple Silicon was still pretty new. They hadn't quite worked out that feature yet. Obviously, there are other workarounds you could do, but they were not easy and they were not cheap. And so we end up just using it with a single display if we use it with an external display at all. And you have the same problem with the MacBook Neo here. It can only connect up to one external display. For a budget machine, it seems reasonable. For the MacBook Air 13-inch, which costs us over $1,000, I was not thrilled to find that out. So MacBook Neo, once again, it's kind of disappointing, but at the price point, I don't really care. I understand the trade-off. Can't be expecting to do too much port-wise with this computer. Now, of course, it's really not suitable for any sort of heavy graphic GPU tasks and things like that. It's not designed for video editing or heavy photo editing, which is good because we as writers do not need to be doing that. You need to be focusing on writing, right? Now, that being said, if you are a self-published author, that might be something that might turn you away because you are the marketer, you are the graphic designer. You are doing all those things until you can afford to have someone else do it. So you may want to invest in a MacBook Air or a MacBook Pro that can handle those things better. So you really gonna have to consider the trade-off. What makes more sense to you? Are you gonna be doing a lot of that? Are you planning to focus on the writings? Now, I know there are other people that are worried about obsolescence. They're worried about this device becoming quickly outdated due to its lower specs. Honestly, it's understandable. I get it. But the fact of the matter is, every year, your computer becomes more and more outdated. You really can't avoid it. My thought process is, if you think of this as just a writing device that does this one thing really, really well, you don't really have to worry about that too much. You could write on this device, even without system updates, for 5+ years. I would imagine you could probably get 10 years out of this thing if you really treat it well and you take good care of it. The real concern will be, when does Apple stop their updating? Hopefully they'll still give security updates. Apple is known for cutting off devices. You should plan for most computers that for every $100 you spend should last about a year. But realistically speaking, $500, 5 years. If I got anything beyond 5 years out of it, it would be worth it. I could just spend another $500 to buy a brand new one and it wouldn't break the bank. The real question is, are they going to continue this? Are they going to keep moving forward with the MacBook Neo? Is it going to be something that sticks around? I hope this is not something that stops. I hope people see it, love it, and they even make it better over time. Let's build our MacBook Neo. If you're looking at this as purely a budget laptop, you just want to get in, get it done, and be out of it, I would not change a thing. Pick your color. For the longest time, I thought the citrus color was green. It looks like it's a little bit more yellow, and maybe depending on the light, it might be green. This would probably have been my first choice, especially if it was like a clear green color. And for what I've seen, the keys looked more white than they do. They look more yellowy, citrusy here. I don't know. But personally, I'm going to go with indigo. That's what I'm going to choose. I think it's more on par with something I'd like. It looks more blue, looks more space gray. I like a more dark mode kind of thing. This is more me. That's what I would go with. Now, the question, storage and Touch ID. Do you want Touch ID? It's one of those features that I like it. It's nice, it's handy to have, but when you shut down your computer, you still have to enter in your password anyway. So if you want to save that money, just get the 256 hard drive and the Magic Keyboard with no Touch ID. If you want the Magic Keyboard with Touch ID, it's going to cost you an extra $100. Honestly speaking, for double the storage and Touch ID, I think it's probably worth it. If I was a student, I'd get the education discount. I'd max it out at the $599 and buy it. This is looking pretty dang sweet for what you get. You get so much for so little. So it's just a great value. And so as a writer, we don't need a lot of processing power for most of the things we do. If you're just sitting down to write, this computer is perfect for you. You should just snag one, get it, and get to work. You get the elegant factor. You get the feeling of using something really incredible. You get to jump right into the Apple ecosystem. You get to use Scrivener for Mac, and all the price for $599. And Scrivener projects don't even take up that much space. The verdict? Well, it's up to you, but I'd buy the MacBook Neo.